Good afternoon and welcome you all in the fourth episode of our webinar series on reflections on development economics. Today we are very happy that two of our very good friends, Kaushikda and Anindita, are here, and they will speak on mortality from COVID-19, the interaction of ethnicity and deprivations, and its spillover in England. Before starting, I'll request Dr. Gagori Chakraborty to introduce Kaushikda and Anindita to all of us.
Thank you, Shruti. And we welcome Dr. Kaushik Choudhury and Dr. Anindita Chakraborty. Dr. Kaushik Choudhury is currently teaching at Leeds University Business School. He did his PhD from State University of New York at Albany. He was associated with IGIDR Mumbai and had visiting appointments with IIM Bangalore, University of New South Wales, University of Sydney, and Madras School of Economics, Chennai. He has remained consultant economist at World Bank. He has a large number of publications in reputed journals in the field of applied econometrics, financial market, empirical development economics, and political economy. Dr. Anindita Chakraborty is currently teaching fellow in economics at Leeds University Business School. She received her PhD from Jawaharlal Nehru University. She has been earlier associated with Madras School of Economics, Center for Development Studies, Startup, Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. Her research interest is in the area of health economics, development economics, and applied econometrics. So with this introduction, we would now like to hand over to Dr. Kaushik Choudhury and Dr. Anindita Chakraborty.
Thank you, Gaguri, for the introduction, and also thank you for inviting us to this webinar. This is very much a work in progress, and hence we really look forward to receiving your comments. So quickly, an overview of how this presentation will flow. So we would initially present COVID-19 timeline in UK. Then look at the motivation and background behind this study, the objective, quickly present the regression models, and then will come the empirical results and overview of like how we would like to progress this work in future. Start with the timeline. So, of course, as we all know, the first officially recorded hospitalization from COVID-19 was, of course, in China, which was recorded on 12th of December 2019. Actually, more than 1 month later that the disease was recorded in UK, where the first patient from COVID-19 was recognized on 29th of January 2020. But it took the government almost a month to bring into lockdown, which happened during late March 2020. And by end of April and first week of May, the disease started peaking in UK, which showed not only a very high incidence rate of COVID-19, but also a very high case fatality ratio. And as of 21st August 2020, like Public Health England records 41,490 deaths in UK from COVID-19. So, which is of course a very sizable number. And here is just a sort of view in terms of the 7-day moving average of daily deaths from COVID-19. And as you can see from the figure, the peak is sometimes sort of, commencing in the first week of April, and then going up till end of April and first week of May. And our data actually sort of corresponds to that, and our data is from 1st of March to 17th of April, and that was the latest available data that we had. Okay. Now, along with the spread of the disease and of course high rates of death from the disease, something which also became apparent was that people from a certain ethnicity were getting more affected by the disease compared to the other. And this was first actually highlighted by a work by Cook et al., who, looking at 106 health workers, sort of showed that 63% of people who were actually dying from COVID-19 were from the BAME, that is the Black, Asian, and minority background. And this report sort of propelled the government into action, and who started investigating this in further details. And hence, you know, actually officially ONS, which is the Office for National Statistics in England, and Public Health England officially recognized that the ethnic community, that is the BAME community as a whole, had a higher incidence of contracting these disease compared to the white population. And following which, there has been some work, but primarily by doctors and public health specialists, who looked into data from hospital records and tried to sort of analyze whether this COVID-19 has disproportionately affected people from the BAME community. And one of the important directions in this respect came from Harrison et al., who looked into actually hospital records of 30,693 patients spread over 260 hospitals across England, and recognized that even after controlling for age and gender, patients from the South Asian community had a relatively higher risk of either going into invasive mechanical ventilation, or actually dying due to COVID-19. And sort of a similar work at a lower scale was also done by Ella et al., based on hospital records from London, who people from actually the Black community had a significantly higher odd of dying from this disease compared to the rest of the population. And similar studies were actually also recorded in US. So Garg et al., he looked into again hospitalization records of Afro-American community, and saw that incidence rate was higher for that category of population. And Kunti looked at again counties with disproportionately higher Black population also had higher COVID, also recorded in Norway, and was established by Pan et al. Through a cross-country systematic literature review. So to sum up, basically, sort of some primarily work done by public health specialists recorded that the BAME community had a significantly higher likelihood of contracting and dying from this particular disease. But the problem with these studies was that, why the BAME community? Nobody could really answer that in too much of a detail. So Harrison did acknowledge that, some socioeconomic factor may be responsible behind this higher mortality risk for the BAME community. But there has been no systematic and quantitative measure provided to check the interaction between ethnicity and economic deprivation. And the other sort of drawback which Harrison and others acknowledged, that considering the entire Asian and Black ethnicity as one homogeneous entity might be misleading, because there would be a lot of smaller and narrower nuances within the, of course, the Asian or even within the Black community. So this paper tries to sort of take care of some of these drawbacks or some of these gaps. So our first objective hence is to formally quantify the interaction between COVID-19 death with economic deprivation. And we also wanted to check this interaction at disaggregated ethnic groups. So we have examined age adjusted mortality outcome within disaggregated ethnic groups. And something which actually has not been looked into by the literature is to see whether there is a spatial spillover or there is any neighborhood effect across the local authority districts within England in context of COVID-19 deaths. Okay. Uh, Now, why did we think of looking into this spillover effect? So that, if you just look at the pattern of incidence rate. So this again, as I mentioned earlier, is COVID-19 age standardized mortality rate from 1st of March until 17th of April. We can see that there's definitely some clustering which exists. So in terms of the color code, red signifies the highest extent of mortality rate, followed by orange, then yellow, then blue, then green. You can see from this figure, so clusters located in the southern part of England. So this would be London and its surrounding local authority districts. They show significantly higher COVID mortality compared to other local authority districts in England. And again, there was a clustering which was seen in the Midlands, and again in the north, particularly surrounding Durham. So this is something which fascinated us, and we wanted to see whether there is any significant spillover effect happening in spite of the prevalence of lockdown. So accordingly, we had two different regression model. So we had, of course, OLS model where the dependent variable COVID-I is the age adjusted mortality from COVID-19 for each of the local authority district in England. And we have data for 316 LADs. LAD means local authority district. And the independent variable includes controls for the socio-economic deprivation. So which was accounted for by creating quartile dummies, where the quartile dummy was based on the average score of index of multiple deprivation, where the quartile 1, which was our reference group, signified the least deprived LADs. And as we move up from quartile 1 to quartile 4, we are moving to LADs, which sort of, records higher level of deprivation. We also controlled for the ethnicity present in each of these local authority districts by looking at the proportion of population belonging to the Keth ethnicity residing in that LAD. As I mentioned earlier, we wanted to have a disaggregated representation of the ethnicity. Hence, we categorized 11 ethnicity groups. So, for instance, unlike the previous literature, instead of just having black, we subdivided them into black African, black Caribbean, and black other. Similarly, instead of having just Asian minority, we have sort of subdivided them into Bangladeshi, Indian, Pakistani, Chinese, Arab, and other Asian minority. And we also had a mixed category, so where mixed basically means where a person from a white community has got sort of has a non-white as a partner. And our excluded group is the white community, which hence acts as a reference group. And also, as I mentioned, since we wanted to capture the magnitude of interaction of ethnicity with socioeconomic deprivations, we have these interaction terms where each of the quartile dummy has been interacted with a particular ethnic profile. Okay, so that was our ordinary least square estimate. And to look at whether at all there is a spatial spillover, we have also conducted a spatial regression model, which is effectively the same in terms of the independent variables, apart from the fact that now we have also included a term which looks into the spatial lag. And I think like Kaushik, would you like to expand on this further? Okay, so that was, I think, more or less it. So this was the two regression equation that we had. In terms of the results, like we have sort of like just focused primarily on the interaction of ethnicity with deprivation and for each of the LADs. So before moving into the results, this is just a table showing the descriptive statistics for these important variables across the LADs. So we can see that if we just look at the age adjusted mortality, as we move from the least deprived quartile, which is quartile 1, to the most deprived one, quartile 4, the age adjusted mortality is sort of increasing substantially from around 28 to around 47. Also, if you look in terms of the ethnic subdivisions, then for example, if I look into the black community, so for both black African as well as for black Caribbean, the proportion of, for example, black Caribbean staying in quartile 1, the least deprived, is lot less compared to those staying in relatively higher quartiles. Okay. So, and now if I move on to the so along with the dummies capturing the index of multiple sort of deprivation, we primarily wanted to look at the combined impact of coming from a particular ethnicity profile and residing in a, a particular, deprivation quartile. So to begin with, if I see the quartile dummies, then yes, uh, local authority districts which were recorded to be in the most deprived quartile were also the one which had the highest, mortality from COVID-19, 0.004. In terms of ethnicity, if I look into again the Black African and the Black Caribbean, then particularly for Black African, we can see that there is a sufficiently positive and significant interaction effect. So for example, um, you know uh, 1 unit increase in Black African population residing in a LAD with quartile of quartile 2, the mortality would increase by 3.241 units. Okay, so and in terms of similar picture was also seen for the Black Caribbean. Now for the Asian community, we actually got a very different result from what is to be expected, particularly for Bangladeshi, because if you can look at the interactions of Bangladeshi with the different quartiles, you will see that, for the quartile 2 and quartile 3, it actually came out as negative and significant. But although for quartile 4, so Bangladeshi staying in quartile 4 would have a significantly higher COVID-19 mortality compared to the whites. Again, for Indian, it was significant so far as quartile 2 was concerned. Pakistani, we did not get any sort of significant interaction effect. Now, from there, if I move on to the spatial effect, then it somewhat corroborates what we have seen earlier. So we have just reported the marginal effects of selected ethnicity and compared them at the 75th versus the 25th percentile within that particular quartile. And so for Black Caribbean, again, the results were uh, quite interesting. And we saw that, if so within each quartile, if a Black Caribbean is located at a 75th percentile versus a 25th percentile, then the COVID-19 mortality would increase by 5.580 unit if in quartile 2 versus 6.216 units if in quartile 3 to 8.610 unit if in quartile 4. So the number increases as you move down to, progressively deprived LADs. Black African and Indian, the result matched, but only for quartile 2. Bangladeshi, again, negative. So Bangladeshi is located at the 75th percentile, had a significantly lower COVID-19 mortality compared to 25th percentile within each, quartile group, which is something which, to be honest, we have to still try and need to understand the reasons, hard to explain, to be honest. Yeah. Mm, if you look at overall, so what has till now what we have seen, yes, COVID-19 mortality disproportionately affects local areas or LADs with significantly, higher proportion of people, particularly those in the Black Caribbean and Black African community. But unlike the existing literature, if we look into the Asian ethnicity into a lot more disaggregated form, then we get very conflicting results, particularly for Bangladeshis. So considering South Asian community as one homogeneous entity can be misleading. And we also saw that there is a neighborhood effect in terms of the disease burden, because the estimated coefficient of the spatial lag of age adjusted mortality was positive. It was 0.432, and it was significant with a p-value of less than 0.001. So basically, LADs with a high like age adjusted COVID-19 mortality will have again a positive spillover effect on LAD which is just adjacent to that. So there will be a direct effect along with an indirect effect of being located close to a LAD to which you share your border. And again, the spatial, so far as the interaction implication is considered, yes, it does sort of matches with what we found when we were looking into the OLS estimate. And particularly for Black Caribbean, within each quartile, those located at the 75th percentile had a higher sort of death rate compared to the one at the 25th percentile. There was a significant sort of impact of being belonging to a particular ethnic profile and being in a higher deprived category of LAD. And we've seen similar pattern also for the other ethnic minority, but only if we look into quartile 2. Now, again, as I said in the beginning, this is a work in progress. So here we've tried to just see the association of COVID-19 mortality with ethnicity and interaction of ethnicity with multiple deprivation. But we are trying to extend this work, and we are trying to see the association of COVID-19 mortality, rather, sorry, in this case, incidence rate, with certain other factors, with comorbidities. For example, we are trying to see whether local authority districts which has higher estimated diabetes cases, higher incidence of cancer or hypertension are also the ones which has higher mortality from COVID-19, higher cases from COVID-19. And we are also trying to sort of get sectional data on other socioeconomic features such as the education rate for each of these local authority districts. So at least whether percentage of people who have completed a level of education. We are also trying to capture for certain behavioral sort of nuances, like trying to account for proportion of sort of people in the LADs who are termed as alcoholic or who have been smoking. But then of course this is left for future investigation. Okay, thank you. I think I'll stop now, and we'll take the questions. So Kaushik, would you take the questions then? Yeah. Sh-
Hello. Hello. Of sharing or
Okay, now we are inviting questions. So I think Shubroto has a question. Do can you see the question in the chat box?
Anindita, Kaushikda?
yeah.
Okay.
Where is the chat box?
It is on the right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. That will be very good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We can see the question now.
Yeah. Do local areas vary significantly with regard to deprived populations' access to intensive care because of difference in availability? And if yes, how are you distinguishing the effects of risk factors due to ethnic identity and lack of access to intensive care on COVID mortality? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, but with the local authority district data, it is quite difficult to answer. First, basically, like we do not have the data in terms of the intensive care facility or the ventilator availability at the local authority level, because this data in general comes from the hospitals, and the hospitals matching with the local authority is pretty difficult, because this belongs to what they call it, like National Health Service England trust record. So we could not. But of course, your next question, perhaps, that the pre-existing condition, we are exploring the pre-existing condition at present, like Anindita mentioned at the end, that we are looking at the cardiovascular disease, we are looking at cancer, we are looking at diabetes, as well as we are looking at dementia, because a lot of people are claiming that people who have dementia has the higher probability of catching COVID-19, and so on and so forth. How deprivation levels are measured? Okay. Yeah. So there are different indicators in terms of multiple deprivation. So basically, it constitutes of 7, I believe. That it has income, it has employment, it has education, it has health and disability, barriers to housing and services, then crime, and then living environment, and the living environment, right? Yeah.
Yes, thanks. Thank you. I really like the idea that you split the BAME into further subsections of population. Uh, I'm honestly not an expert at all, neither in health nor in economics. So treat this as a very naive question. I'm not sure which 100 LADs you actually looked at, but most LADs where Black Caribbeans and Bangladeshis live, they are very densely populated, in the sense that those LADs are uh, kind of disproportionately high in their ethnicity. That is, if you have an LAD with Bangladeshi, say Brooklyn in London, or something similar in Birmingham or Leeds, you will see a lot of Bangladeshis in the same neighborhood. True for Black Caribbeans as well. So I was wondering if there is a kind of endogenous story going on here, that when you have a deprived area with Bangladeshis, then perhaps your variables are kind of teasing you, particularly if you are take the product variable. So Bangladeshi product quartile 4 is 1 only when both of them are 1, right? Otherwise it's 0.
No,
So,
sorry. You ask me, I'll clarify.
okay, so all I'm saying is forget the econometrics part. I probably said something wrong and stupid already. All I'm saying is my observation in British society is there are LADs where Bangladeshis and Black Caribbeans live uh, clearly in a disproportionate way that is there by far the majority. So does that play any role?
Yeah. Actually, I mean, to tell you truth, absolutely great question. And thank you for asking. Let me clarify two things before I get into answering directly. Uh, First, the quartile is a dummy, and the next variable, all the proportions are continuous variables. So they are not the interaction of dummies with dummies. So you have the proportion of Bangladeshis living in LADs, which is being interacted with those quartile dummies. But I completely agree, and I'm from Leeds, and we are from Leeds, so we know Leeds pretty well. And because of our friends in Birmingham, we know them. I mean, we know the areas very well, as well as I mean, Indra, you know that in some way, and then also in London. We agree, and that is where the spatial pattern or the spillover effects is a lot more interesting. Now, to answer your next question about the density, yes, what you are calling, what you are talking about is basically I mean, in a very crude term, the Bangladeshis and the Black Caribbeans, they believe in ghetto culture, or the culture which we all call as ghettos, and that ghetto culture gets in or gets translated in terms of the networks, and which is being captured in terms of the spillover effects. So we have done some more work with the existing paper where we have actually control for population density. So it is like the number of people per hectare area. We have control, and we have also control for the education level. And the results are actually better than what we presented. Uh, and the result shows, of course, population density increases the COVID death as be it spatial, forget that, be it spatial, be it OLS, it increases it. On the other hand, we basically played around with A level because we thought, GCSE is too low. On the other hand, degree is too high. So let's stick with the middle, which is the A level. And the result shows that an increase in A level percentage of people with A level would decrease the COVID-19. So definitely there is a role for the density of the population, and there is a role for the education, or what we call as the awareness level. Okay. And then in terms of the other results are getting actually better. What we are now observing, that the Black African is becoming significant in every quartile. So be it even in the spatial context, the spatial parameter or the spillover effect increases slightly. So as Anindita mentioned, it was 0.43. It is now something like very close to 0.5, which is quite a big number in terms of the spatial. Then in terms of the Indian, it is becoming now significant in not only in quartile 2 as well as in quartile 3. Sunnis are becoming significant in quartile 2. So that's the result. I hope. Yeah, we just started working on it. We just finished it yesterday night, and we have updated the table, but not the presentation, because we were playing around with it, and finally we got it.
So fantastic. So we got something literally hot from the press. Anyway, thank you. No, that's
We will
good news.
share. I mean, we will share the paper once it is completely done. We hope to finish it within a week or 10 days, and then I'll send a copy to both, or we'll send a copy to both Jakir and Mousumi, where I think there could be a common platform where people can share it.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions?
Can I ask one more?
Sure.
Purely clarificatory. I probably missed it. Your data, is it all from hospital admissions or from community?
No, these data are from Office of National Statistics.
Yes, I'm saying, are these for people who are already admitted, or in the beginning, particularly, many people who are not admitted sent back home, us to
Absolutely.
stay at home. So I'm just asking,
Yeah.
really,
Uh,
whether
yeah.
this is
I
from
got you.
hospitals or.
Yeah. So ONS, the report, as you know, that the ONS data differs from the Public Health England, because ONS covers the death at hospital, death at care home, death at private home, and in all other settings. So our mortality data is basically a combination of death occurring at all the places that I have mentioned, and it is age adjusted. So that is why age is not there as a separate explanatory variable.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I have just
I can, sorry, I can come back with one more. You mentioned in the literature, Nandita, there are similar studies for the
Yeah,
US
I'll give it
and
to Anandita.
Hello.
hi, and
Hi.
you mentioned in the literature there are similar work for the US. So I got the impression that nobody in the literature so far has looked into subcategories within BAME community. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah. For UK.
You are not just for the US, and the papers you
Uh,
mentioned for the
yeah.
US
Yeah.
and
Right.
Norway, let's say, do they look
Yeah.
at subcategories?
No, they don't look at the subcategories. So that
They
was
don't
one of the
split.
point.
So the US Black Lives Matter or whatever, that
Yeah.
clearly include Afro-Caribbean. We always
Yeah.
call them, Afro-Caribbean, particularly in the
Right.
recent past.
Right.
But nobody in the literature split them into.
Not yet. No, they have not. So, like for the US, they have looked into Afro American, they have looked into Hispanic, and they have clubbed all the Asian together. But again, like when I talk about these studies, like it's not really a many cases it is just simply the doctors or the public health specialist who have a more detailed access to hospital records, which unfortunately is not given in the public domain. And they have, as I said, they have just clubbed the categories all together. And it's also very localized, like it could be for like one particular county or one particular region. And whereas yeah, and as I said earlier, like in terms of so they have so all Asians are clubbed together. Similarly, all blacks are clubbed together, and that kind of disaggregation they have not looked into. And apart from Harrison, who at least had, a substantially large number of hospital records, almost 25 to 30,000 patients spread over England and Scotland, etc. Rest were again very, very localized. Like 100 observations from a local hospital in London, something like that.
Good. I mean, good for you
Mhm.
that they didn't do it.
I mean, good for, but bad for us also, because they are not giving access to individual level data at all. So we are constrained by completely Public Health England and whatever is available at LAD level, at a cross sectional level. So that access is not getting released, at least not yet.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Shashwata has a question.
Would you get better result with multi-level models to understand clustering? Can you please tell me what you mean by multi-level model?
Shashwata, can you unmute yourself and ask the question directly?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Thank you.
Multi-level model is, I mean, that is a at the even if you're using your observation at a LED level, or say in Indian case it is district level, then if there are different parameters like ethnicity or income or X and Y, and I mean, then you are, I mean, trying to see that whether the variants are actually differing at the local level or at the global level. So in that case, the clustering effects are more actually visible compared to the linear regression model. If you see that this
Mhm.
Goldman's paper in 1985, I think. Yeah. So I mean,
Okay.
so to understand the local level clustering. So that gives actually bit better result compared to the
Yeah, I mean, again, we were sort of, constrained by the availability of data, so we were not getting income level data at local level, and also, like, individuals are not sort of, nested within the LADs, because this is not an individual primary survey data that we have. This is just like data age adjusted COVID-19 mortality per 100,000 population for each LADI, without further subcategories within it.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Yes,
we
we
can't do
can't
a
do a
clustering
clustering
at
at
here.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
anything.
anything.
So,
So,
is it
is it
possible to
possible
do
to
a
do a
clustering at
clustering
a
at a
multiple
multiple
level? I
level? I
don't
don't
think
think
it
it
would
would
be,
be
not
not
given the
given the
data.
data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
would you like to sort of elaborate
elaborate
on
on
that,
that,
Shashwata?
Shashwata?
No, that's fine. I mean, the thing is that
Okay.
it is basically a procedure of actually resting. So since
Yeah.
your individuals are nested within LEDs, right?
Individuals are within LADs. Yeah.
LEDs. So one level you
Hmm.
can do actually. But I mean, I don't know that how much it will be better. But
Yeah.
you can
But as
try.
it's
I mean, you can
Yeah,
try.
we
But
can try, but as I said that individuals are it is not a primary survey data
right,
within
right. That's
LAD.
good. I know. No, I
Yeah.
mean, we
Yeah.
have done one exercise in case of India's
Okay.
640 districts as a
Mm-hmm.
observation. yeah,
Mm-hmm.
each actually district as an observation, and TFR, total fertility rate, as a dependent variable.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have done this district level kind of clustering, and
Mm-hmm.
got something 73% variation
Okay.
throughout the different clusters. So it is a one level, but I mean, still you can try. I mean, to see.
Okay, we can try that then. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other question?
But is clustering possible in a spatial model, or is it
Yes.
theoretically justified?
I mean,
No,
like
not. I mean,
not
not in a
that
special
was my
model, but if
point.
that is a OLS model. I mean, that OLS, that model one, what they have done two. No, I mean, OLS as well as spatial. So in case of OLS, if the multi-level can be tried out, something like that.
Well,
Just try. I mean,
yeah. So multi-level in the OLS model.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Not in a special regression. Special regression is special regression. That is separate. That you
Uh,
can't do anything. I mean, there's a
okay.
special lag model and special error
I don't.
model, and
Yeah. I don't get
Joram
it.
Sai are already fine. So that is fine.
Uh-huh. Okay. So would you like to ask anything, Kaushik? I think you wanted to know what is multi-level in OLS. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would be glad. I mean, yeah. Uh, what is multi-level in OLS?
No, no. I mean, not. I mean, not multi-level in OLS. It is. I mean, not doing OLS. You can do actually multi-level. I mean, with without uh, intercept only model, and then taking all other your independent variables in another model. So instead of OLS, you can do
Uh-huh.
multi-level. That I am trying to say.
But what are the levels here? Multi-level needs at least two levels because it is
Yeah,
multi-level.
so I mean
Yeah,
so one is your intercept only.
yeah.
In intercept only model. In the second model, you can just have the ethnicity variable and your this interaction dummies, and
Uh-huh.
in the third model, I mean in the third level, you can incorporate all other socioeconomic
Okay.
attributes. So these are the
Okay.
levels.
Okay. I
Right.
have to think about it because, in general, what I understand about a multi-level model is what we call as hierarchical linear modeling,
Right,
and
exactly.
that's basically where you have something like class inside a college, inside a university. Here, it would have been interesting to do it, but if we have the individual nested in the local district, the only multi-level here I can think of is the region.
Yeah.
So which UK has 9 region, so the LADs are nested in
Right.
9 regions.
Region. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but yeah, so that
I will share one paper to you,
okay,
which we
sure.
have done,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
under
sure. That would be great.
review.
That would be great.
So that in that paper we have done at the individual level, as well as the district level, as a multi-level in
Yeah, but
both
here
the
it is
cases.
not possible, as I told you, because we don't have the individual level data.
Yeah. I mean, individual is not possible. That is fine, but because you have the regions now, so the region, then LED, and then the individual. So
No, we can
individual,
do only
I mean,
the regions and the LEDs, but like
yeah,
here there is only 9 regions, so I don't know whether these 9 regions will make any sense actually, because for those 9 regions you can have an intercept dummy
right.
maximum, so the regions differ, and then incorporate the other variable in terms of your LED, because at the region level you cannot incorporate all the variable because you have only 9 regions and your
No, right.
number of explanatory variables is lot more than 9. So you can have basically a regional effects, of course, with a regional dummies at a
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, even at a multi-level.
I mean, is it possible to have a look at the characteristics of different regions? Of
Of
sorry,
course.
of the LEDs. No, no, sorry, of the LEDs within each region. If the
Yeah,
variation
yeah,
is low,
yeah,
then you can, within a region, the variation is low,
yeah,
but across regions, the variation is high. Then I think
yeah.
multi-level modeling will make sense.
Yeah.
Yes, but on the other hand, yes. I mean, the one simple way to do is just look at the descriptive statistics across the region in terms of the your
Yes, yes.
dependent variable. And if they don't differ that
Then
much,
it is,
then you
yeah.
don't
Then,
actually need
right.
regional dummies even.
Right. Yeah, it is actually you actually need
Yeah,
it is a
Jackie, you have
value.
a good point. I mean, it is good to look at the region-wise variation in terms of the COVID.
Okay. So I've just one
Yeah,
clarificatory question. You have taken
yeah,
as the dependent variable the COVID mortality in an LAT.
yeah.
Is it possible to take the mortality in the minority community, that is the BME community, as a percentage of COVID mortality in that region?
The data is not available.
I thought so.
So they give the data as a whole, not separately by the ethnic group. You can do it only if you have the access to the hospital records.
Thank you. I mean, the model was very interesting, but just it's because we have so many students. I would just like to ask you to speculate on one thing. This higher ethnic mortality can be because of deprivation, it can be because of genetic factors, it can be because of comorbidity, and it can also be
Yes.
because of certain characteristics like larger size families, etc., within the communities.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, it is not possible to look at all the factors in a model, but can you just, speculate, just think what are the relative contribution of these factors?
Yeah, I think, but of course, all of those guys are important. In terms of the, I, I I mean, the main objective was that people talked about deprivation, people talked about ethnicity. So the way that we want to think about it, whether there is a combined effect of ethnicity with deprivation, and that's the objective with the and with the very disaggregated ethnicity. But what you said, Jackie, is correct. And so we don't know exactly because there is now in England what is going on is basically some local lockdown measures, and the local lockdown measures are being done in some of the counties or some of the local authority districts where the joint family, at least I know one of the area which is very close to Leeds, known as Bradford and Crickless, where the joint families are lot more, or the household size is lot more compared to think of an area which is also under local lockdown known as Preston. In Preston, we don't see that, but in Birmingham or in Bradford or in Crickless, we see that lot of joint families compared to nuclear families, or even if they stay separately, they share the food or they share things at the same time. So yes, perhaps yes. Yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, so the speculation could be that the spread could be higher if you do not follow minimum social distancing. And in that way, that could be one speculation, that in terms of joint family could increase the spread of the disease. But then the next issue would be that, I mean, it could be like the age composition of the family would matter also. That if there is a family of 40 years, 35 years, and with 4 children, versus a family with grandparents staying in the same family, could have a higher spreading pattern. And that's what these people are telling over here. Did I answer you, Jakir?
Yes, thank you very much.
The speculation could be that the joint family may spread to some extent. And of course, the genetic thing that you have talked about, I mean, I don't know, like the genetic, because a lot of people first claim, like all we know, that BCG is something like protecting the Indians, or that is why India has less mortality rate. People are talking about types of mutation of the virus. So we don't, we don't know really. I mean, we don't know. But in terms of the joint family, that would be our take.
Yeah, I mean, I was raising the point of cancer because I think in UK, the incidence of cancer is very high among the ethnic minorities, particularly from South Asia.
As well as the diabetes.
Yes, comorbidity, diabetes, these factors, comorbidity is very high among the ethnic community.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. So as I said that, what we are doing as a follow-up study in terms of the cases, the occurrence rate, the basic result is telling us diabetes did not matter that much. Cancer did not matter the occurrence that much. But the two disease which matters is in terms of dementia, as well as in terms of the blood pressure, hypertension.
Hypertension is understandable, but I don't know what is the mechanism behind dementia. That seems
Apparently, it reduces your immunity.
okay.
The dementia.
It's just correlated with old age.
Yeah,
Dementia
and
generally
also
comes
it
in
is old age.
and so like that's another reason why like
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any other questions? Okay, Shashwat is giving a message that he has shared the paper.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you everyone. It was a very interesting discussion. Just a minute. Just check. Okay. So it was a very interesting presentation and followed by a very stimulating discussion. I hope the audience enjoyed the lecture, and I hope that you also got some inputs in your paper.
Sure.
And so today I'll end today's discussion, and I just want to remind the audience that this Friday we have another lecture by Professor Ranjit Manchanta of Bart's Cancer Institute. He's going to speak on something totally unrelated to COVID. He's going to speak on population screening in cancer and how it can help to prevent cancer. So this is research which was funded by the NHS Accelerator scheme, and it was recently published in the journal Cancers. So, I mean, Ranjit is a very good presenter. So I hope all of you will be present on Friday and listen to Ranjit's paper. So thank you very much, all of you. And
Special thank you to Kaushik Da and Anindita. For
yes, a special thank you to
Yeah, I'll give it to Anindita.
Yes, hello.
Yeah. Special thank you to both of you and your daughter too. Okay? Because nowadays
Yes, she did enter the room asking for lunch. Sorry about that.
yes. I'm telling you. Okay?
How old is she?
She's 14. এই সেপ্টেম্বরে 14 হবে। তাও লাঞ্চটা গরম করে খেতে পারে না। যাই হোক।
আমার 12 বছরের ছেলে বোতল নিজে উঠে নেয় না, টোকাকে বসে থেকে ওর সামনে দিয়ে যেতে হয়। তারপরে খানিক বাদে চিৎকার করে বলে জল লাগানো।